Let me recognize my problems have been solved. This is like a wonderful breath of fresh air. It's kind of a breath. Anyway, so I mentioned last lesson that this is not about physicality at all. However, it's not at first until you actually become a miracle worker and start to see where it's all manifest from. Then you start to recognize that it is all physicality, but it's not directly physicality. It's not just your physical problems. Yes, your physical problems do need to be solved and resolved, and you need specific physical tools to deal with those physical problems. So this, in the recognition of what this is not necessarily physical either until you get to that physical degree or the physical level of that manifestation, recognizing that. So as we are actually sent to discover here that let me recognize all my problems have been solved, is in so many different variations and degrees. A lot of students take this to the level of all separation, and they put it on Jesus and say, oh, it's all my problems are solved because, again, essentially the crucifixion, the resurrection, and to whatever degree the getting out of the dream that they see and understand, let's say, the story of Jesus. And this is acceptable, this is fine, but in the sense of recognizing that it has no responsibility whatsoever on you, again. And that's where the problem is that what a lot of people, and I have no issue with Jesus in the sense of what most people define him as, but in the sense of recognizing that even here today, if you put it on any sort of deity, you will not recognize what the problem is, and nor will you realize it's been solved. It is not by someone else that has been solved, but a factor of yourself that is in a different time. So outside of time and space in this physical construct of reality, yes, outside of the dream reality, it has been solved. All issues, all problems have been solved. And there's so many different variations in which we can get into it, but to recognize that that solution is the one dreamer. It's not specific to anybody that has found it and discovered it and can talk about it, even unto myself. That you can't just talk about it and say, oh, this person knows about it, now they're the solution, they're the answer. And it's not true. That it is within yourself that the solution is. So you can't say somebody else has solved it. As you hear it throughout all sorts of different practices, and people pretty much bringing their Christian practices into A Course in Miracles and saying that it is a specific deity. So in that sense and recognition that we actually want to realize that all imagery and anybody that has lived is within the dream, and that means within the dreamer's mind. So even you are within the dreamer's mind. Anyone that has been on the planet, deities of any sort, of any religion, have all been in the dreamer's mind. It's still the dreamer. You see the difference? It's still the dreamer. And I call that Christ. Some call it Christos. Some call it Krishna. Some call it Allah. Some call it Buddha, mind, consciousness. Some call it anything. You can call it just, hey, that one source. You can call it whatever. But everyone is in it. So no one can be set apart in the dream but that of a function. You have a function here, yes, just like I have a function to be teaching this right here with you. I have a function to have discovered what I know, and essentially I am meaningless outside because there is only one dreamer. Only one dreamer. And that's where the one solution to all problems have been solved. So that's what this is about. The dream is over. The dream is done. Now that's referring to outside of time. That means you are the solution outside of time. So you have to go outside of time to recognize that all problems have been solved. The interesting thing is that outside of time, all problems are also being started. That they're both beginning and ending and happening in the moment. That it's all at the same time. So the recognition of saying all be solved is actually a deliberate attempt to focus on the end result. So if you're focused on the end result, what is occurring from that manifestation attribute? Right? So the dreamer being focused on the solution then has and lives solutions. So of course it seems a little arbitrary and kind of far out, dude, but it is a pretty fascinating and absolutely distinct fact of how this reality actually works. So in the dream, yes, of course, just like the physical problems call for physical tools, for physical solutions, right? But outside of the dream, there is a distinct understanding of, say, the laws of how this world works, even as that you are under no laws but God's. And we have to really emphasize and recognize that this is all throughout this. You do not understand your world. You are lost in it, and we are trying to reach out and call to you to recognize your truth and essentially take your responsibility.